A couple weeks back, I got a pair of really nice lamps from my local Habitat for Humanity restore, but they came without lampshades. I eventually found some that were identical in size and shape, and after some revisions, would be the perfect complements to my new lamps. 400 yards of cord, and many hours later, I had new lampshades. So let's take a look. I started by cutting and ripping the fabric off of the lampshade. I discovered the wire underneath was pretty rusty, and I was a little worried about that, but it turned out fine. Then I tied the cord to the top of one of the vertical wires. Just to be clear, it's not a fancy knot, just a basic knot to keep the cord in place. Then I wrapped the cord around the lampshade. Every time I reached a vertical wire, I wrapped the cord around that wire once, then kept going. This is long and takes forever, but I listened to a couple of podcasts and eventually reached the bottom of the shade. When the spool could no longer fit through the wire, I estimated how much more string I needed and cut that much more cord. I intentionally overestimated so that I wasn't in danger of running out. Once I reached the bottom of the shade, I tied the cord in place, once again with a really basic knot. Then I moved on to the vertical pieces. For each piece, I made a slip knot up at the top of the shade, either on the top wire or the top cord. I tucked the ends into the center of the lampshade, then brought them back to the front about 2/3 of the way down. Then each cord was tied with a basic knot at the bottom of the shade. I put 6 cords on each top wire section and 5 cords on each top corded part for a total of 11 cords in each section. I know it's weird that I placed cords on the top corded row, but if I didn't, the bottom would have looked really empty. Plus, it's easy to tuck that top row back underneath the other rows when you're done, so it's not visible at all. It doesn't really matter how you tie the bottom knots, as long as you do the exact same thing every time. Also, be sure you have at least a couple extra inches of cord left to act as fringe. We'll trim that in the next step. Finally, decide on a length for your fringe and trim all the pieces to match. I tried to do this like I see my hairdresser cutting my hair, and that seemed to work fine. Once the trim is cut, unravel the ends for a softer look. Then attach the shade to the lamp and enjoy. Finally, the lampshade was done. I love the texture it brings to the room, even if it was a pretty time-consuming project. If you like it too, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. And if you want more information, see the blog post linked in the description below. Thanks, and don't forget to hit subscribe.